Today was the final day of the long-term finance wrap-up meeting, and representatives convened in plenary to hear reports back from Wednesday's breakout discussion groups. The co-chairs then outlined some key messages they would take from the meeting and submit to the November Warsaw COP.
What this process has helped us do is thresh out and tease out all of those elements that are technical in nature and be able to feed that into the political process. There has been better clarity in terms of common understanding on what constitutes pathways for climate finance, and that has to do also with the notions of constraints, challenges, and the barriers that countries face in identifying these pathways. And we were able to also discuss solutions for possible areas of convergence so that we are able to transcend these barriers.
Participants offered their views on the 2013 Long-Term Finance Work Programme activities. Here's a sample of views expressed by participants.
We think it is an iterative process actually in scaling up, iterative process of providing resources, of creating the enabling environment, of identifying concrete actions and viable projects. This will stimulate then more action and more financial flows also from the private sector. This is perhaps the takeaway from this workshop, and I think this is a good message to convey to the COP.
We hope that this long-term finance program can be ended or wrapped up with tangible results in giving political momentum for pushing the whole process, that is to urge the developed partners to reach the goal of 100 billion. And we hope that when the report is given to Doha, we can produce something tangible and productive. That is, our developing countries can really benefit from the long-term finance commitments by our partners.
I think that it's very important that this work program on climate finance continue. It's very necessary that the United Nations carry forward the search for solutions in terms of climate action and climate finance. Others are working on the topic as well. But to really have legitimate agreements, they must be within the framework of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, to which all of the countries of the world are parties.
Countries are beginning to work together, which is key in coherence and coordination, especially in terms of regional adaptive strategies, because there are no boundaries with climate change. Everybody is going to be affected. So the fact that countries are coming together to put their institutions together and strengthen their capacity to not only design programs, but program the money effectively so they could create better programs and projects that will ultimately benefit local communities and avoid further harm, I think is an impressive development.
Co-chair Sanyo outlines how the views of the meeting will be taken to the Warsaw COP.
Under the work program, the co-chairs are expected, in fact mandated, to write a report based on the proceedings in the work program, based on the activities that we have conducted this year, including submissions, consultations, the expert meetings, as well as this wrap-up event, and assimilate all of the views and take forward recommendations that would feed into the political process. The high-level ministerial in Warsaw is then mandated to take the LTF report as an input into their discussions.
Olay Uludong from Nauru recalls the fundamental driver for facilitating long-term finance.
I think the question that we have to ask ourselves when we walk away is what we are doing on the ground enough to change the global picture in terms of how do we reduce greenhouse gas emissions enough to stabilize the atmosphere for the survival of ourselves and the future generations.
As representatives look forward to further discussions of this important topic in Warsaw, Bernadita Mula from the Philippines leaves us with her hope for meaningful action.
We must have hope because otherwise inaction is not an option.